Happy Sunday, or whatever day it is that you're watching this video. So today my partner made me a shell, a monstrosity of a shell, as you can tell, and I don't know how I feel about it, all said and done. What made this particularly difficult was I went into it with an idea of what I wanted to turn it into, instead of just tackling the shell and come what may, I guess, type approach. Before we get too far, hi! This is Clayton, welcome to Sticky Sims, my YouTube channel where I love to build and play The Sims. So let's talk about the vision. The vision was a New Orleans-esque home, so I went right here back to Streamlet Single, where we were just a few weeks back, but I wanted it to be like a modern take on a New Orleans home, but not too modern. The reason I say not too modern is it always makes me laugh that modern architects, so to speak, are always going to be trying to come up with new ideas, new concepts, new things to try to, help evolve our architecture, right? And then here in New Orleans, with it being like a historic city and having such a rich past, there are plenty of like ordinances and local laws to kind of help preserve the certain look. So there's just this constant conflict between wanting to move forward and try new things while also not, I guess, sticking too far out like a sore thumb, or like, I guess, veering too far away from the little bits and pieces of architecture that make it feel New Orleans. All of that to basically say that that's kind of where my thought process was when I was working on this build. I wanted it to be a more modern home, but not too much. So that's exactly what I named it on the gallery. If you love it and you want to download it, it's called Modern, but not too much. I ultimately went with a white house, so to speak, and being that I was going to kind of leave everything on the outside very smooth and white, I knew that it needed to have, I guess, like a depth or like texturing to it. So I made sure to add a good bit of like wall linings, spandrels, different things like that. I made sure to put that little, I forget what exactly what it's called. It's like a fence that goes across the top. But then I wanted to like cross that with different things that are historically like New Orleans-esque. So like the Greco-Roman revival, throwing in a few of like columns here and there. The home still kind of following the Acadian style, where all of the walkways and hallways are central to the house, and then also different little small decorative pieces like you'll see later on, like hanging plants, pops of some really bold color, and then like patios and porches that wrap the house mostly. I really wanted to focus a lot of the space on the like living room when you first walk in, and then this little piece right here, which has essentially kind of become like a greenhouse. So as you saw in the thumbnail probably, and I made sure to include it in the description, but I did limited packs with this one as well. I was discussing it with my partner and trying to figure out which packs we thought would lend to this whole idea of it being New Orleans-esque, but not necessarily like spot on, I guess, or too much. Now, we decided on growing together just because of the like different build assets, like the windows, the doors and such. We're going to make it a little bit easier, even though I think I ended up using a lot of base game doors and windows. But anywho, Strangerville, I always will preach that Strangerville has some of the best New Orleans-esque assets in this game. Then we threw in Paranormal, just because, I do love the Paranormal pack, and that kind of lends into it as well. And then just to kind of, because I originally, when I was looking at the shell and I saw that little like diagonal bump out mess on the back corner, I immediately saw it and I was like, I'm gonna tear out the floor on the second floor, and I'm just gonna make this really big greenhouse type room, or a sunroom, so to speak. So I used the Greenhouse Haven, I think is the name of the kit. Sometimes I feel like creating a sunroom in The Sims 4 when you're building is kind of like cheating, just because the lighting in this game is so just next level compared to I mean, really, compared to the other games in 2014. But anyways, I know we're in 2025 now. But using all of those windows as the day goes on, the lighting that comes into that sunroom, that's why I feel like it's cheating, because I don't really have to do much to just make it, just taking pictures throughout the day. It's just a gorgeous space. And okay, so I usually talk about the Sims that live here. I didn't really go too far into the story of these Sims, mostly because I was so like, I guess, hell-bent on trying to figure out what I was going to do with this shell. And I didn't want to, like, I guess, tighten the box that I was putting myself in any further. I don't know if tighten or reduce. Anyways, I tried to just create, like, a couple that I thought kind of fit this whole boho vibe that I usually like to fall into for New Orleans. I also realized that in my game, I don't have enough like melanated Sims, and I also don't have enough like plus size Sims. So that's what we went with today. But yeah, let me talk about this living room because I fought with it for a good while. I feel like everything ties together for the most part, and I really like that blue rug, but a part of me feels like the blue rug might not fit in a way. In the comments, you let me know, because we could always just, a rug is easy to change out. So you could just, swatch it differently or something. But I was trying to throw a pop of color without it being too much of an eyesore, so to speak. I'm thinking back to the growing together thing, and I did use those windows in the very front. There's a few like window coverings that we use from growing together as well, and then the upright piano, which I still to this day think that the upright piano should be a base game object, but you could say that about a lot of things. But I'm sorry, I'm a little all over the place today with this voiceover. So the couple that lives here, right? I'm thinking that it's just the two of them that live here. So it's the Knox family. It's made of Javier Knox here. He is a vegetarian, cheerful, good guy. He's going for the freelance botanist aspiration. And my thought is that his career would be something like, I don't know, like a therapist maybe, or a counselor. So I put an office, a home office on the first floor, thinking that that would kind of be like a place for him to work and maybe have clients over. I just, this whole idea of a home business with the small biz residential that we got from Businesses and Hobbies, it has just changed my game entirely. But right, so Javier married Alma Knox. Alma is his opposite in a lot of ways. She is an evil kleptomaniac, but she's also romantic. My thought is that she has that, I think it's called sticky fingers aspiration. I was thinking that she probably stays home for the majority of the day. Kind of a hobbyist of sorts, but the truth is she's actually secretly like a criminal, and like Javier has no idea about it, that kind of situation. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if she should have been like if I should have made her like a vampire. But anyways, we could always go back and make adjustments. So anywho, this is not a long speed build, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about them forever. I want to talk about the build. As you've probably seen in a lot of my other builds, I tend to copy bathrooms. I mean, like if I do a really big mansion build, I might do a few different bathrooms, but in a house like this where there's only like 2, say, bathrooms, I usually just kind of make one and then copy it upstairs. I kept the downstairs bathroom and the kitchen kind of in the same region, and then I also, for my own weird sense in the game for plumbing to make sense, I also put the second floor bathroom like immediately above the first floor bathroom. Here's that office that I was telling you about. I kind of tried to keep the decorations minimal. In my experience, when you go see a therapist, especially if it's at their house, it's usually a very lightly decorated room, I guess, to not distract from, the services that they're providing. But as you can see here on the roof now, I've kind of just added a couple little things here and there. I originally was going to do kind of like a, what do you call it? Like I had roof pieces around this little like 2 tile wide room. God, I was cursing my partner high and left when I was working on that. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this room? So I just kind of made it another sunroom, added a little platform above it to kind of create the actual like quote unquote roof. And I don't know, just add a little sitting place, a few hanging plants, and then the telescope on top, right, to spy on the neighbors. Now, I use these star lights, and I feel like it's kind of controversial because it doesn't necessarily match or fit the vibe of like the build, but my main reason for using those lights is the glow, like the actual like effect that it has on the area. I tried to tuck them high up so you couldn't really see them behind, say, like not the roof trims, like the wall trims, the exterior framing kind of thing. When you zoom out and you're looking at the house as a whole, I really love the way it like the glow just kind of lights up those little balcony spaces and the doors, of course. So if you don't like those lights, by all means, and you still like everything about this lot, you know, have at it. It's your game. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm sitting here thinking that, like, I didn't use Growing Together nearly at all, but I used it a lot in the bedroom. A lot of the furniture in that pack was very like warm, cozy, but still had a modern take to it, but not too much, right? Because that's what we're doing today. Modern, but not too much. So thinking back to how I said Alma's kind of like a secret criminal in a way, I thought that adding the Strangerville like listening device would fit. You know, there's no point in wasting time and energy to go steal from someone that doesn't have the real goods, so we're gonna listen around on the neighbors and find out who's really got the high dollar items so we can go, you know, make friends and snatch. So Alma Knox, she's my snatch queen over here. You know, now I'm thinking about it, I gave them the last name Knox, and now I'm starting to think Fort Knox, which is like a security company. But anyways, we're moving into the second bedroom. The second bedroom, like I said, I didn't really think of any kids or anything, so it's kind of like a guest room. I tried to explore which items I don't typically use often, just in fear of like my builds starting to all look the same, which was actually surprisingly easier than like my experience in previous videos, and that's mostly because with this month of me kind of committing to limited pack builds, I like religiously started different save files for each one, just so that I could use the actual like launch options in the EA app to only load with the certain packs that I wanted to use. If you're a Sims builder, you know that the filters in the like catalog don't always stick perfectly. I find that it's mostly when you switch between like searching objects by function versus like using the little like house diagram number where you're like choosing windows and such. But yeah, I mentioned it in a video earlier this month. I'll put a link in the description as well. James Turner has this website that can help generate you the exact like switch or tag, so to speak, that you need to add to your advanced launch options to disable certain packs. Well, yeah, so back to the build. Now I'm thinking, you know, I said that this was going to be like a guest room, but it looks very lived in for a guest room, Clayton. Oh, right, and instead of using stairs, I used a ladder to get to the top level. I remember thinking that I wish that there was like a trapdoor or something, so to speak, so that you could like keep the light out. Kind of like, I don't know, like in my house, we have like an attic ladder that pulls down. So it's closed unless you're actually using the ladder, you know what I mean? I wish we had something like that. But yeah, okay, so we're moving into this like sunroom slash dining room slash greenhouse type space. Remember I said Javier is a vegetarian and cheerful, so my thought is that he is also very into the plant thing. So he has this little just station right here next to the kitchen where he can tend to all of his plants. I do love that some of the greenhouse windows, you can like toggle them, like use like an open one or a closed one. You know, just let some of the nice air in. I've started doing this thing with shell challenge builds or you know, basically a build where I started with a shell that I didn't make. And I start on the interiors, which is kind of backwards from my normal build method. My normal build method is to build up a shell and decorate the shell and then go inside. So I did end up doing landscaping. I just kind of did it at the end. I also want to mention it because I didn't include well, I guess I should say I forgot to record it. On the flip side of this house from where we're looking right now, I ended up putting in a little like illusion of a above ground pool. I stole the idea from a Jessica Pye video where she did this like realistic family home. And I was going to do a circular pool, but I just didn't like the way that the circular pool looked with the ladder up next to it. But anywho, I'm going to quit yapping here. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you have a beautiful week. Love you. Bye.